So, hello and welcome, and today we're just going to run through a few tests of the top drills that you can buy commonly on the market for less than £100. And to start with, we're just going to run them through their paces. So we've currently got here, we've got an oak block, and we're currently drilling into the end grain. This first drill we've got up for test is the Milek, I believe, and you can currently get this drill. It's readily available on Amazon and online for £36. So we've got a 12mm auger bit. We're just putting it through its paces and seeing how quickly it can drill right through the end grain, right up to the length of the drill bit in a piece of oak. I mean, this test is slightly more heavy duty than you would normally put your drill through on a normal day-to-day use, but we had to devise a fiendish test to separate the drills from one another and sort of decide which drill is the best value for money. So we're currently watching this Milek now. It's performing very well. You can see there's a bit of steam coming off the drill bit there, and it does eventually manage to send this 12mm auger bit straight through the end grain of the oak and right up to the chuck of the drill. So yeah, it's performing very well considering it's only £36 and it's sort of a lesser known brand. So this drill we've got now is the Inco. So it's currently doing the same test as before. It's drilling into the end grain of the oak. And as you can see, it seems to be performing extremely well. It seems to be going in a lot quicker than the Milek, and it doesn't seem to be applying as much force to get the drill bit to go into the oak. So yeah, it's performing really well for a very reasonably priced drill. The Inco is available for £80. Now this next drill we've got up for test is the Black & Decker. It's starting off very nicely. It'll be coming into shot shortly. So this is another good little drill that is a tried and tested make that you've been able to get for years and years and years. And this is currently available for £48, so it's still a relatively cheap drill. And as you can see, it's certainly cutting into that oak block. It doesn't seem to be just as quick as the Inco, but it is half the price and it is doing the job. So the trusty Black & Decker will get your job done. It's always sort of been their motto. They sell to the DIY market, and they're certainly not disappointing with this drill. Coming into shot, we've got the Ryobi here on test. As you can see, it seems to be making light work of the oak, and it seems to be performing just as well as the Inco, really. So the Ryobi drill is available for £75. So it's £5 cheaper than the Inco, and it seems to be performing very well. As you can see, it's completed the test with minimal hassle, and the drill bit is right up to the chuck now. Now we've got the Bosch drill coming up for test. So it's the classic Bosch green, sold to the DIY market. It's a classic drill you'd find in your granddad's shed. So yeah, it's going straight into the oak there, no problem at all. The Bosch is good enough for your granddad, should be good enough for you. And that is coming in at the price of the Bosch. It is £98, so it's actually the most expensive drill on our test. Now we've got the last drill on our test, which is the Stanley Fatmax. As you can see, that's performing extremely well, and it seems to be going in fastest, almost as good as the other top drills. So yeah, the Fatmax comes in at £88, and I believe this one comes with two 2-amp batteries, so you're getting quite a lot for your money there with a battery charger and 2 batteries. The Fatmax came out on top, but all the other drills performed really well, and they all completed the task. So now we've got up for test using the Forstner bits, and we're currently drilling in some C16 4x2. And first up for test again, we've got the Milek. So it's equipped with the Forstner bit. I think it's 50mm Forstner bit, so it's not easy to get this through the wood. The Milek seems to be holding up pretty well. The shaving's flying everywhere, which is a good sign. There you go, it's just locked up and broken his wrist there. But he's still going for it, speeding it up to save you a bit of time. And the Milek does eventually manage to put the Forstner bit through the piece of 4x2. A good use of the elbow there to steady the piece of wood. It's very sensible. It's having to struggle a little bit, but for a cheap drill, it's one of the cheapest on our test. It's performing very well. Next on the 4x2, we've got the Inco. That seems to be performing a lot better than the Milek. There's wood shavings flying everywhere, and we just sped it up Just has to clean the bit off there. And as you can see, the Inco is making relatively light work of the 4x2. And it soon gets through it with a bit of elbow work, a bit of wiggling, jiggery pokery. The Inco's through there in a relatively impressive time. Now we have the Black & Decker up for test, and currently going into the same piece of 4x2. It seems to be getting through there quite easily. It's hard to tell how fast because we've sped up the clip, but as you can see, it makes its way through the piece of 4x2 with no problems, no real trouble at all. So next up on the agenda, we've got the Ryobi. Currently got our 4x2 supported now, just to make it a bit more stable while we do the test. He's got his weight over the drill bit's still going strong. As you can see, the Ryobi's really getting stuck in there, and it's sort of really making an indentation in the 4x2. Seems to be performing just as well as the other drills, and it's quite hard to separate them at this point, but we'll soon find out at the end when we come to check the results. And here we've got the Bosch coming up now for test. So yeah, the Bosch is going in there, getting stuck in. He's really wiggling it around now. He's got a bit of confidence with these drills. And yeah, as you can see, the Bosch, with a bit of to-ing and fro-ing, has managed to get through the 4x2 without too much hassle. Here we've got the lovely Fat Max coming in. He's going in with the Auger bit now, really seeing chips flying. He's calm, cool and collected with the drill. He's just giving it a little bit of a power wiggle there, just to get it through, just encourage the drill on a bit. But as you can see, the Stanley Fat Max, combining the names Stanley and Fat Max, is just like a turbocharged Stanley. So we've got the results here. I'm just getting in my earpiece. We've currently got the Ryobi coming out top there into using the Forstner bit in timber, followed by the Fat Max, the Inco, the Bosch, the B&D, and then finally the Miele. Now we've got our drills coming up for the next test. This is going to be done into concrete. So we've currently fitted all our drills with a Masonry Bit, and we're going to just test how well it perform in hammer mode into a piece of concrete block. So first up for test, we've got the Miele. Now this drill doesn't actually come with a hammer mode, so we've installed a standard size, I think it's 6.5mm, and currently the Miele is managing to drill a pilot hole into a breeze block with no hammer mode. Next up for test here, we've got the Inco. It currently is drilling quite well into that breeze block. Again, this drill's not got a hammer mode action, so it's just relying on the drill turning. It seems to be making a lot better of an attempt than the Miele. Now we've got the Ryobi. This drill actually has a hammer mode, you can hear that from the video. So the Ryobi is performing a lot better, I think, than the previous two with having that hammer mode. But one thing to note with all these drills and hammer mode is it's usually crap. So you won't be able to, even with a hammer mode, they're normally relatively weak. So as long as you can get your masonry bit into your breeze block and then knock in your red or brown plug. As you can see, this drill actually does have a hammer mode. It's performing quite well. Just showing a little bit there. It does have a hammer mode, but the drill does seem to be tiring as it's getting into that breeze block. And that's the Black & Decker there. It's managing to do the holes, but it's not performing as well as its competitors there. It will get the job done, but you might just have to struggle a little bit more with the Black & Decker. Like you say, it's not marketed as a professional drill, but it's just marketed as something that'll get your job done. We've got the Fat Max. It's one of the favourites here at the Bloke Cave. As you can see, it's got its hammer mode. It's sending that masonry bit straight into the breeze block with no problem. Soon backs it out and he's onto his second hole. Again, you can really hear that hammer mode kicking in. He's putting a bit of force behind the drill, but you can see that 2 amp battery is giving it the power it needs. So as you can see from the results, the FatMax, as I thought from the video, did perform the best out of all the other drills. It was still a slightly close competition, but as you can see, the some of the other drills there didn't manage to finish on time. Now we've got our next test. We're going to test out the battery length of all these drills. So to do that, we're just going to be putting screws into this piece of wood. We've laminated together several bits of rough sawn 3v1. As you can see there, the Inco's doing a little test there, and this is just a demonstration to show you how many screws you can put in with these drills on one battery's charge. So we ran through this test with all the drills, and we ended up putting in hundreds of screws just to try and run these batteries down. So they all performed really well, and they will all sink in a large number of screws before you need to think about recharging your battery. In fact, for most simple DIY jobs, you're not going to exhaust your battery over the course of your job. I mean, some of these drill batteries, you could put screws with them in almost all day and the battery will still last as long as it needs to. And especially if you buy some of the other drills like the Stanley FatMax, and there's one other drill there that comes with 2 batteries. Yeah, it is the Inco that also comes with 2 batteries. They're both 2 amp batteries. So the Inco and the FatMax both have 2 batteries, so you can always have one in your drill and one ready on charge, which is a really good idea if you plan on doing DIY quite frequently, or day to day you engage in a DIY project. It's always good to have one battery on the charging station and one battery in the drill. But if you're just using your drill really occasionally for when it's sort of an emergency, your doors are falling off, then you'll be fine with just a simple cheap drill, probably like the Milec, and one single battery. So we've got our results up on the board from our battery life test. So as you can see, the Bosch has performed the best, sinking a total of 90 screws. They're all up there pretty high really. It's just the Milec's coming in at the last place with 60 screws. But on a day-to-day basis, you wouldn't really notice too much of a difference in battery life. So all the drills performed pretty well there, but the Bosch is your best bet. Now we've got our next test, which is drilling into brick. So we've put our masonry bits back into our drills and now currently drilling into some hard red brick. So again, the first drill we've got for test is the Milec. As you can see, it's putting in its holes, no problem, and it doesn't even come with a hammer mode. Next we've got the Inco. That's doing the exact same test with the exact same drill bit. As you can see, it's slowly working its way into that red brick. There's no need for a hammer mode, and what you tend to find is the hammer mode's overrated anyway. Lots of manufacturers just put it on as a feature, when actually it does very little in real life. Unless you upgrade to an SDS drill, the hammer mode is just a bit of a gimmick really. But as you can see, the drills perform the test. And what we've got now is the Black & Decker. As you can see, this drill has a hammer mode, and it is helping slightly, but you still get the job done with any of these drills, and if you're only fixing occasionally, then either of the drills will do your job to a good standard. This is the Ryobi now. Again, like the Black & Decker, this one has a hammer mode action, and it's sort of slightly helping to get the drill bit to go in and clearing a little bit of dust, although in reality any of these drills is capable of drilling into brick. And this is the Bosch now, drilling into the brick. As you can see, it's making a really good start, and it's soon making its way through the brick and getting that 6mm hole in, ready to receive a brown plug or whatever fixing you choose to get in. And now we've got the Stanley FatMax here. This is more like a proper drill, and as you can see, its hammer mode is slightly better and it's soon getting that masonry bit into the brick. If you're doing a lot of work, then the Stanley FatMax is definitely a good drill to choose. And the FatMax, as we thought from the video, it came out on top. Now we've got the final exciting segment of the video. We're actually going to put 2 drills head to head and see which one can sink these screws in the fastest. So currently we've got the Milec up against the Black & Decker. Currently it looks like the Black & Decker is winning there, managing to sink in 2 screws faster than the Milec. And then for the ultimate test, once we put those screws in, we're going to give the drills the grueling task of taking them out. So as you can see, Black & Decker has managed to just beat the Milec to the post, but only just. So the next race, we've got the Bosch v the Inco. Inco's off to a fast start here. He's coming up. The Bosch is still consistent though. Bosch is putting the screws in at a steady rate, but the Inco is speeding through this. He's currently on taking the screws out while the Bosch is only managing to get 2 screws in. It looks like the Inco's going to take this one, and he's taking his first screw out. Bit of a judder there, onto his second, and the Inco is the clear winner. Slaps it down on that timber beam. Now we've got the Ryobi and Fat Max up side by side. 2 big names here. Let's see how they get on. The Stanley Fat Max is quick off the mark there. He's soon fired his 2 screws in. Probably the quickest drill we've seen so far. And the 1's out. And 2's out. And the Stanley Fat Max takes it with ease. The Ryobi hasn't even managed to put his 2nd screw in. And he's about to throw the Ryobi in the bin. It's been utterly annihilated by the Stanley Fat Max. It's quite frankly embarrassing for the Ryobi right now. But he's being a true sportsman. He's putting his screws in and he's taking them out, and he's probably going to take that drill home and just sit in a dark corner somewhere and think about his purchasing choices, because that Ryobi has really let the side down. Anyway, full marks to Stanley. Thumbs down for the Ryobi. Now we've got a clash of the winners brackets. We've got the Inco versus the Black & Decker. See how well these two perform. As you can see, they're pretty neck and neck so far. But it looks like the Inco might just take it. He's about to take his last screw out now. And he has done. The Inco there just beating the Black & Decker. And he shows it up to the camera. He's proud of that drill. He's going to take that home and put it on the mantle. Now we've got the grand final now. This is the final of the drills. We've got the Inco versus the Stanley Fat Max. Stanley Fat Max has got his first screw in and his 2nd screw, and he's just going to take them out as if it's a walk in the park. The Stanley Fat Max is retailing at about 100 quid, but it has smashed every single drill we put it up against. The Inco there, the best of the budget drills, still not keeping up with the Fat Max. It still gets a good shot, but it's not winning the race. And the final and yet probably the most important thing is the price. So we've got all these drills rated here by price. As you can see, the Milik is the cheapest. Then we've got the Black & Decker, the Ryobi, the Inco, the Fat Max, and then finally the Bosch. It could possibly be that the Bosch drill is slightly overpriced. We found the Fat Max was brilliant with 2 batteries and 2 amp batteries at that. But if you're looking for a cheap drill, the Milik is still a very strong contender. If you're looking for a high-end DIY drill, I would have recommended the Stanley Fat Max. But if you're looking for a cheap solution to get most jobs done around the house, then I think the Milik is still a good drill to purchase. So yeah, the choice is yours. They would be my top picks.